You found Michigan's retirement coach, Mike Douglas.
And I'm Heather Branch here with Mike to ask for his ideas on ways that you can be working now to better prepare for your financial future. When it comes to planning and saving for retirement, there is a whole lot of things that not lotto. Lotto is not a good way to put it. There is a whole lot of things. Lottos, unfortunately, have nothing to do with it. We are here to support ourselves financially.
But if you have won the lottery, give us a call at 517-323-7526. We'll gladly answer your questions.
We are here to help for that as well. No, but...
Did you know we actually have 2 lottery winners?
Do you?
Yeah. I'm not going to say any names, but we have 2 different people who have won $1 million lotteries as clients.
Wow.
One was already a client, and it's the tale of 2 cities. Like so one already was a client. He's part of a group of 2 or 3 people, bought some lottery tickets. He ended up winning $1 million.
Yeah.
And he was already a wealthy guy. And so he did all the right things. He took the lump sum, he invested it, and he's living off the interest off the $640,000.
Nice.
It's a wonderful plan.
Yeah.
The other person had never had a savings, wasn't a client, but won $1 million, talks to their best friend, who's one of my clients, and is like, hey, just, this, you don't want it. And then they came to us, and then they made some other decisions that have not resonated so well with their portfolio. And, just habits tend to be habits. I want to pay cash. I don't want to do this, that. Like, I'm not going to let the money earn interest and then use the interest. It was more of I'd rather do it all this, pay off my debts. Next thing you know, one is living on quite a bit of money. The other one, not so much. But it is part of the process, working with that. So if you have won the lottery, we're here for you.
Also, if you have questions, we're here for you.
Man, just
all walks of life. All walks of life.
If you've won the Powerball specifically, we're here.
We're here. Here to help.
Bring your $2 billion here.
Come on down.
Yeah.
MyLifePlanFinancial.com. That's our website and where you can go to get started on a conversation with Mike and his team. We also have links posted in the show notes, or again, MyLifePlanFinancial.com. All right. So you brought up the idea of different kinds of people in maybe similar circumstances, but come from very different places. And that's actually a great approach to the work that you do, because folks that have been working, no matter what background of career, no matter what kind of family life they've had, lots of kids, no kids, divorced, been married since 20, and they all come to you and they probably have anywhere from $700,000 to a few million saved, and now they got to make it work for them in this second phase of their financial life, going into retirement, figuring out how to make it become income and reducing risk and all those things. But what's interesting is the idea of seeking out financial help, because what you do is different than when somebody seeks a financial advisor for growth in their working years. It's a totally different approach to what you have, right?
Yeah. There's different phases of life. Accumulation, preservation, and distribution are kind of the big 3. And getting there, it's like climbing a mountain where it requires different muscles, different skill sets, different efforts, different pain points. It's all different when you're climbing up.
Yeah.
And that requires a certain type of thought process and a certain duration and comfort with risk and all those things. And then when you shift towards living on the money or using the money or passing on the money, that's like climbing down the mountain, and it's a different set of muscles. It's a different skill set. Sometimes it's a different path you take down for the sake of safety. So as a result, that's a different model altogether. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask you about, actually, there was this article in Forbes talking about, again, people kind of come into a place of discovery, particularly as they get to their retirement, careers wrapping up. Maybe they have had a financial advisor. Maybe they're realizing that financial advisor is no longer right for their goals, for the journey ahead. So this Forbes article was talking about seeking a new advisor because of change and the most common reasons why it happens. Top 4 reasons that they talked about: your current advisor is retiring. That's a big one. Financial retirement planners retire too. That's a thing.
We hear that a lot. Like, hey, I've been with this guy for 30 years. I'm like, so if they were about 30 and you were about 30
and you're retiring,
you're 60 and ready to retire.
Do the math. So that happens. Also, your current advisor's fees might be high, and you have gained that knowledge. At least you have that knowledge. A lot of people don't even know what they're paying in fees. Your portfolio performance isn't as strong as you would like it to be. And so you're wondering if the risk maybe is too high or too low in some cases, or you want a comprehensive guidance that covers more areas. And that's even more necessary for retirement, because in your working years, it's grow, save, grow, save, grow, save, grow. In your retirement years, we now have to take all of that and spread it all around. So thinking about folks that come to you that maybe have had a financial advisor and they know that they need to make a change. Let's discuss that. But also the idea of how intimidating it can be for a lot of people because they think to themselves, what kind of paperwork nightmare is this going to be for me? And how you make it easier, how you and your team make the process easier for folks.
Well, there's a couple of things. One, we know that there's the laws, right? Object in motion stays in motion, but the amount of effort required to get an object not in motion into motion is very significant. Okay. And when it comes to we have a situation that we've been in for a long time, it's easier just to leave it alone a lot of times. Yeah. And we'll find out things while they're retiring. Okay, well, who do they have? Well, they hired some 30-year-old, and I've never met the kid, but I think they'll probably do fine. Mm-hmm. You really shouldn't leave your retirement to probably do's, and should be's, but that's part of it. And you come in, and that's where most of the people, when they make the changeover, they say, well, no, this guy was great. I just don't know the next guy. And there's some issues there. Okay. Another one, you said the fees are too high or a lack of transparency with fees. Mm-hmm. I think in the last, when in the 80s and 90s, nobody cared because the market was so good for so long that if you're making 14% year after year, you don't care if they're skimming 2 or 3% off the top because I'm still getting 14. Yep. However, in the volatility we've seen the past couple of years when the market had a 30% drop in 22 days in 2020. Yeah. In 2018, we had 3 different 10% drops. In 2022, we had a 30% NASDAQ drop, a 20% NASDAQ drop. Major volatility, and also you're getting charged fees for it. That's when we started becoming more and more aware. Yep. And as the future goes forward, more and more technology and different tools are available to help continue to reduce down fee structures. Okay. Those are all important, and that has brought a conversation to the forefront that wasn't there 10, 15 years ago.
That's a good point.
And the conversation is value. Am I getting value for the money I spend? Not that high fees are an issue. A great quote. I have a friend, Chris, who says all the time, fees are an issue in the absence of value. And
that's true because basically, we actually even had a conversation before about Delta Airlines, how they've gotten so expensive, but you yourself, you say but I'm paying for the knowledge of Delta seems to bring a lot more security to your travel plans. Their flights seem to be on time. They don't seem to be having the problems with doors falling out of their planes, those kinds of things. So it's like you're willing to pay for that value you're getting. Mm-hmm.
I'm paying for the highest paid pilots in the industry. Mm-hmm. I'm paying for the newest planes in the industry. I'm paying for certain things that I see value in. Mm-hmm. I like my plane to be real new. I don't like it to be the one that another airline shut down and now Spirit or whoever uses it, right? Like I don't want to do that. Yeah. So there's value. And the issue comes when we're paying a premium price for an economy product. That's the problem. Right. And most people just want to know, it's not that I don't want to pay fees. I just don't want to overpay for what I'm getting. Right. So that's part of the conversation. Portfolio performance is tough because when there's a disconnect between your feeling and your finances, you don't understand things when your understanding doesn't match up with your results. Mm-hmm. Those are frustrating moments where you say, it feels like it's my butt on the line, but yet someone else has the controls and I don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And the market's doing this and I'm doing this. And then other times when the market's losing, I'm losing with it. Yeah. So it feels like I'm getting the worst end of the stick when it's bad and I'm not getting the good end of the stick when it's good. Right. And that's a frustration point. And I think probably the biggest of all these are all real issues, and we've been dealing with it quite a bit, especially as we see a lot of the financial advisors retiring and aging out of the industry. Yeah. And then there's not a huge gap of people 40 to 50 who are well trained and equipped to handle that weight. Yeah. Because it seems like there's 60-year-olds and 20-year-olds. Yeah. Yeah. And like there's just nothing in between. Yeah. And so when you're 40, someone, you're the in between. You're the 40. Guy. All right. Thanks for reminding me, Heather. I'm 40.
I'm 44. You're fine. Calm down.
But in that space, there's just not a lot of people. And if you get into it, you say, all right, well, they work for one of the big shops. And so as a result of them working for one of the big shops, because they haven't built their own business yet or built their own book, when you're working for one of the big shops, they say, all right, you work for Eddie Jones or Fisher or Raymond James, wherever. All right, so we do investments. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. Do not give tax advice. Do not give estate planning advice. Do not give all this. We do investments, which brings us to kind of the last point you brought up, which is the comprehensive plan that covers everything. Yeah. Because when you retire, it's not just your paycheck that stops. Yeah. You now become responsible for making sure you have insurance. You become responsible for your tax paying that your employer used to take care of. And once a year, you update your withholdings or whatever. You become responsible for your income. You become all of a sudden a down market, a high level of risk becomes an issue because I'm living on this amount of money and the market brings it down to this amount. Now I have to decide, do I take less income to make this more stable?
Yeah.
Or do I keep taking income and I have to become riskier to try to recover back up?
Yeah.
That's part of it. So we have insurances, estate plan, taxes, risk, investment choices. We also have legacy planning, not from the sake of like, do I have a will or trust, but what do I want this money to accomplish in my life?
Right.
Do I want to be philanthropic? Do I want to be a giver or a gifter? Do I care about my kids and grandkids getting money? Or am I trying to make my last check bounce? Like, what do you want that to be?
Yeah.
Do you want to make a difference in some area before our life is done here? So there's all these things that factor in, and yet you retired and you got thrown into the position of quarterback, coach, GM, where you have to run it all. And it's a frustrating feeling. I had one lady who she came in, and as we sat down, she goes, "Oh, I love it. I got my CPA, my financial advisor, and they share a building and they communicate. But yet whenever I would say, hey, maybe go ask your CPA if you should do this, go ask your advisor, they would always come back and say, oh, that's the guy across the hall's job. That's not my job." Which
so she would go across the hall, and then the guy would be like, "That's the other guy's." She's back. She's like, "You two need to get together."
It was like who's on first. Yeah, it was a whole thing. And I'm like, so again though, and I would bring her ideas. I wasn't even the advisor. I was just someone she met.
Yeah.
And so I say, well, you should ask your CPA about this.
Yeah.
She'd go ask him. He goes, "Oh, that's a good idea." And oh, okay, great. And then go ask your financial advisor about this. She goes, "Why is it that I have to go initiate change in my life when I'm paying professionals?
When I'm paying people to do it for me, like why am I paying you?"
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So when you do that, it should be built more on the model of I have professional services who are revolving around me, but they're doing all the work and they're giving me the results proactively.
Yeah.
But instead, for most people, they retire and you now are responsible for connecting all the dots in a world you never worked in a language you never spoke. So it's just a very tough position people are put in. And unfortunately now, the bigger the big shops get, the more specialized they are. So you say, all right, well, I've got a Fidelity guy or whomever. Okay, great. Go to your Edward Jones guy and say, give me some tax advice. They're going to say, I can't do that. I'm not a CPA. I'm an investment specialist. Great. Okay, you go to your CPA and they say, I can't give you investment advice. I'm a CPA. Okay, well, that's a problem we're running into in the industry is that too many people won't talk about other stuff. But yet, if I pull from my money over here, it affects me over here. There are things that directly relate and cause taxation and issues and raising my Medicare premiums. And all of a sudden now I pay taxes on my Social Security. All these things relate. But yet you're the one who's left on the hook to figure it all out. Now we're seeing a huge influx of clients coming on saying, I don't want to run this thing. I'm retired. I'm supposed to be golfing. I'm supposed to be snowbirding. I'm supposed to be doing my own thing.
You are.
Not running around making sure that I get statements from my investment guy over to my CPA. And then once that's all said and done, I got to run over to my estate planning attorney and update my beneficiaries. And then once I update my thing, I got to go back to my advisor.
What's the point of all this work you got to do? What's the point of retiring when you got to do all this work?
Yeah. And so instead people are coming in and saying, can I sit at one conference table?
Yeah.
And it's all taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's the vision of Life Plan Wealth and Life Plan Financials. We say, you sit down, the professionals all come to you.
Yeah.
And we make sure it's all covered on the same plan. And all of a sudden, 1 2-hour meeting a year can take care of everything.
Yeah.
And that's the evolution of the industry that the big shops aren't participating in. You get with the CFP, and the whole point of a CFP is someone who can talk about the whole plan in one meeting.
Which, by the way,
take care of things.
If you're new to this conversation, Mike is a CFP. That's a certified financial planner. For those of you who might be new to this conversation, please continue.
It's a credentialing that basically says, yes, I've been licensed to talk about investments. I also talk about taxes. I build an estate plan. I do all these things. Why? Yeah. Because they all affect you. Yet, unfortunately, we go to these places and it's like saying, well, I'm going to the dentist. Well, actually, I specialize only in molars. So you got to go down the hall to talk to this guy about your, and I'm not going to pretend to know all the different types of teeth. But imagine that though. You go through and you say, I thought I could go one place. They'd take care of all the teeth. Yeah. No. I just do this. I just do that. Instead, the idea is just to have it all taken care of in one place. And that's what people are seeking because retirement's getting more and more opportunistic for those who have a good plan.
For everybody.
For those who don't have a plan. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. If you have it all mapped out, they keep changing the rules. They keep moving the goalposts.
Yeah.
And as long as the government is trying to gather money at this greatest wealth transfer in history.
Yeah.
Baby boomers transferring money to their kids is the greatest transfer of wealth in history. And the government is looking for every possible way to try and close every little gap and every loophole that we have. That's why we have to sit down with our clients and say, hey, listen, it's us against them. We have to protect your family against what this behemoth is coming trying to take away from you. And so our job is to protect that. How can we make sure that every area of your plan is protected, and that when they come trying to take it away, we say, actually, we've already done these things. That's how you build a successful retirement plan. On our website, mylifeplanfinancial.com, there's a button that says start your retirement roadmap today. And it begins this conversation when we gather and we start having this coffee and just talking over what does your life look like and how do all these things relate and how do we make sure it all gets on the same page. And that's what it looks like to build a successful retirement plan, bringing everything together to protect you from whatever the government or the different behemoths or different things are coming down the road.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do. So mylifeplanfinancial.com.
We also have links posted in the show notes, so you can just click there when it comes to figuring out your retirement. There is a lot to consider, but you don't have to figure it out by yourself. Mike and his team are here to help. Again, mylifeplanfinancial.com.
Thanks for listening to Michigan's Retirement Coach with Mike Douglas. To learn more, visit mylifeplanfinancial.com.
Michael Douglas is an investment advisor representative of Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Michael Douglas is licensed in your state, please call 517-323-7526. Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Michael B. Douglas, NPN number 9650939.